Hello and welcome to this week's recording of the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. I'm your host Ashwin. We have a full house today. Varun's joining us from Singapore. It's pretty late night. DJ's joining us from London in the middle of the day, and it's early morning for me. Gents, how are you doing? Varun, let me come to you first. We took a week off. It's been nice to get a little bit of a hiatus, but somehow at the same time, both a lot has happened and not really much has happened in the world of cricket in the 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, it feels like I'm reading a lot of cricket bars and cricket info, but I'm not watching a lot of cricket. I think that's the best way to kind of sum up the last 2 weeks of in the cricketing world, and lots of cricket on, not just Indian cricket. And I'm sure I shouldn't touch upon that, but yeah, I think that's the best way to summarize. A lot of reading, but very little watching.
Yeah, it is interesting that we felt like we needed a break, DJ, and we talked about this and we posted that we needed a little bit of a break after the T20 World Cup and the 2 years of hype and build up and team selection discussions. But it doesn't seem like our players get a break, right? We went straight from the World Cup ending to a New Zealand series, which was mostly in the news just because of rain, to be honest. And we'll talk that a little bit in the second half. But do the players need more of a break too, or do the fans need a break, or is everybody back and ready to go already?
No, let's be clear. Some players get a break. It's like the C-suite. They get to
Okay,
take a
okay.
vacation.
So the
Well,
executives get vacation days and the rest of them don't.
yeah, so Rohit was off, Virat was off, but the minions were carrying on. I mean, the New Zealand series was a bad time for me. The game started at like, I think 1:30 at night for me for the ODIs, and the T20 started at 5 o'clock in the morning. Mostly in the news for rain. But I mean, honestly, and we'll come to this when we talk about Pant and things later, I'm sure the amount of cricket that this Indian team is playing is mind-boggling, and we specialize and we love following the Indian cricket team, but it's so hard just keeping track of who's playing what, all the different formats. It's nuts. It's got out of hand.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of all the different formats, Varun, we're going to talk about India, New Zealand, but we'll talk a little bit later because what has just happened is India has just kicked off an ODI series bilateral again against Bangladesh. And it has been a bit of a shocker, if you will, right? Like, I don't think anybody would have predicted traveling to Dhaka, getting 186 all out, and then almost winning and losing. So we'll talk about the specifics, but let me start a little bit with ODI team selection. And I'm about convinced this show is going to become a selection podcast because it seems like it's all we talk about. But talk to me about the choices, right? So DJ mentioned the senior players got a bit of a break, and now the 50 over format has started again. And your top three are Rohit Sharma, Shikhar Dhawan, Virat Kohli. What's the reason? What's the driver of playing the kind of same senior top three? Are we thinking 2023 World Cup, and is this the right call?
I don't know, man. There's like I've lost faith. I've lost faith in this setup. I think this is what we played in 2014, if I'm not mistaken, like these top three. Like
That
it's,
would be a fun fact to go for.
I
That's
mean,
not
I
wrong. These
purposely, yeah,
guys, yeah, 2015, the World Cup was
2015,
Rohit,
yeah, and that's why I purposely said 1 year
Shikhar,
before the World Cup because I'm sure
Rohit,
that's where
Shikhar,
they
and
started.
Virat. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I don't think 2013 Champions Trophy was exactly this lineup, but I actually I think it probably was.
It was Rohit,
Um,
Shikhar, and Virat, and then you
yeah,
had Ajinkya at 4, Suresh Raina at 5, MS Dhoni at 6,
yeah.
Jadeja and Ashwin 7, 8. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, so what I was saying is just think about that, right? 2013, this is like we're in December 2022. It's been 10 years of these guys opening the the batting. I I don't know what to say. Okay, like we've discussed it. I discussed it with a friend. I think once 2019, 2020 happened, all of us mentally, I think it's not a surprise to any of us. All of us knew that Rohit and Virat are going to play till 2023. Now, nobody could predict the captaincy will change. I really thought captaincy will stay with Virat, and after that he'll just give it up, and we don't know if he'll continue after that. But till 2023, in my mind, I had kind of thought nothing much will change. Of course, we lost so much after that that I thought of a change would be forced. But man, even if you keep Rohit and Kohli around, Shikhar Dhawan's average is like his strike rate is 75 in 2022 in ODIs, and he has basically played Sri Lanka, West Indies, and Zimbabwe, right? And his strike rate is 75. I I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say because the next two guys are not great picks either. But I'll let DJ comment on the top three before we go into the middle order.
I don't know. I see Rohit is fixed because he's captain, and King is fixed because he's king. The only one that we can talk about is now Shekhar. But this is the other thing, right? Like Shekhar had a great, I think, 2018 to 2021 ish. He got a lot of runs. He's probably our best ICC tournament player. I think in ODIs he's had a bit of a tough. I think he's had a little bit of a tough spell because he hasn't played a whole lot. Because it's been there's been T20, he gets dragged in for these kind of second layer, then the test matches he's out for, then the actual T20 stuff that we focused on in 2022. He hasn't really played, right? So I think we've got his stats up on the screen, but I think I don't think there'll be a change in the top three, to be totally honest. Although your favorite Rutu is really knocking the bloody door down, man. 800s in 10 matches. He could be a 50 over replacement. He's got the game for that, I would say.
Yeah, but did you see what Ashwin said about him today? So
Me?
No, not
our Ashwin or our Ashwin?
Our Ashwin.
I was like, I didn't talk about him today. Yeah,
we woke up. Ashwin just woke up in the morning, just sledged.
Thinking about Rutu.
No, he said, Ravichandran Ashwin said today itself that while he's breaking the door down, just look at his competition, right? It's like Rohit, Dhawan, Gill, Kishan.
Yeah.
Now even Pant is opening, right? So you're number 6 in the line, and you're not really in the line yet. So it's just nuts. It's just crazy. I don't know.
The line is a dot to him.
Yeah, the line is a dot to who I don't know, to Rutu or to someone else. But you're number 6 in line, and yeah, you're saying Rutu, and I know I got a lot of like shit about him, but Gill is
Gill's not even in the
him,
conversation.
right?
Yeah,
Yes,
we're not even
exactly.
talking.
Yes, Babu Rao, exactly.
Is it
Babu
Babu
Rao,
Rao?
Ganpat Rao,
Ganpat Rao Apte?
I have to say, we probably have the best names in our commenters. We're still getting comments coming in if you're on YouTube from Kumar Sanu, which I'm convinced is the Kumar Sanu. But anyway.
Now we've got Babu Rao giving us comment. But yeah, Gill is ahead of Ruturaj, and Gill has a game for ODI, and you're still playing Dhawan. And not that you're still playing Dhawan. I think Dhawan may have captained more ODIs than Rohit Sharma in 2022. So how are you going to drop this guy?
So yeah, I mean, I think it seems like it's that same pattern, and I want to talk a little more about the rest of the team. But it seems like the same pattern where you're far enough, you're close enough to the next World Cup where you're like, well, let's just let these few guys see it through, right? Which is what we said with the T20 World Cup. We said let's let these guys see it through. And after the disastrous result, I mean, it's shocking almost that coming into 2019, it felt like this was a great chance. It felt like, I don't know, it felt, at least maybe as an Indian fan with the bias, but it felt like we had a reasonable shot. It sitting here in the prep for 2023 doesn't quite feel like we have a real shot, which is a scary thought, right?
Yeah, we don't have a real shot, let's be honest. It's at home, but I'm pretty sure like 50 people who will play the World Cup have played more cricket in India than their home country because of the IPL and India tours and stuff. So it is, this is not the side that's going to win this World Cup.
But you know why we don't also have a shot? Because our captain says, "Oh, World Cup is 8 or 9 months away. It's too long to go for us to prepare for it. So let's just see how it goes."
Yeah, and there was a scene in the Mahendra Singh Dhoni movie where he calls up the selectors in 2008 and says, "I want to drop one of Sehwag, Sachin, and Gambhir." And the selecting committee says, "But why now? World Cup to abhi 3 saal dur hai." And Dhoni says, "World Cup sirf 3 saal dur hai." And our man is sitting 10 months from the World Cup and saying it's too early to think about this World Cup.
And Cricinfo put a great picture with that quote as well. It was just a masterpiece of journalism.
Anyway, Rohit Sharma aside, Varun, let's talk about 4 and 5 then, right? Shreyas Iyer at 4. I mean, personally, I think he's earned his spot in the 50 over format. There's a lot of debate to be had about him in the T20s, maybe even the Test, but I think in the 50 over format, I'm happy with him, although there's a lot of calls for Sky. KL Rahul at 5 and donning the gloves, right? Like, it's one thing to say, okay, let's bring in a a temporary, or not a temporary, but like a whatever, a part-time keeper for a 20 over format, then to say to make him do it for 50 overs, like what was the logic with that decision? Was that the right call?
I think in 2019 or just after 2019, they started this strategy. Excuse me. Yeah. Um, and at the time, you didn't have your Rishabh Pants. You didn't. Dhoni had just finished, and your Kishans weren't really on the scene. So at that time, I think it made sense. Okay, Rahul is a good batsman. I was going to say was a good batsman. Rahul is a good batsman. He's a part-time keeper, but it solved India's number five issue at the time. Today, again, with so much variety, with your Jadeja and Pandyas, with the Washington Sundar, with people like Rishabh Pant and Sky, there is just, again, way too much, like there's way too many people for each slot. And I agree with you. Shreyas Iyer has earned his keep, right? So let's give credit where it's due. But Rahul again, what is he doing? Do you really want to go into a World Cup with a substandard keeper? I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I mean that showed, right? And we'll come and talk quickly about the game. But DJ, let me wrap up the selection question with you and say it seems like we said, hey, for batting, let's go with the tried and tested, the guys who have played with us for 2 World Cups at least now, maybe 3, and have, yeah, I guess 2. And so let's stay with the consistent, reliable batting order. And when with bowling, we've said, hey, let's just try it out. Let's try different things, right? Shahbaz Ahmed, Shardul Thakur, Deepak Chahar, Mohammad Siraj, and Kuldeep Sen. What is the logic or thinking there? Like, I don't. At least 3 of these guys aren't really in consideration for the 50 over format for the World Cup. So why did we just decide let's play brand new bowlers?
So I think maybe Shahbaz is being looked at as a replacement for Jadeja if he isn't going to be fit for the World Cup. So he's a left arm spinner, big hitting bat, right? Um, Kuldeep Sen, a bit of pace, did well for the Rajasthan Royals last year in the IPL. He bowled okay today. I think he picked up 2 for 37, a little bit of pace. I was disappointed not to see Umran Malik again. I don't know. We keep picking him, but maybe he's just great in the nets or something. That he's being kept safe in the nets and he'll be unleashed in the final of the World Cup. I don't know what the plan is. There seems to be some major master
Especially
plan.
when you play 4 quicks anyway, right? It's one thing to say, hey, we're going to play 2 or 3 quicks and he doesn't make the cut. You played
And
4 and he didn't make the cut.
How good would it have been to have him when you need 1 wicket to get with 50 runs to go? He would have just blasted out. You saw what he did, right, in the IPL last year. He's pure pace. And then, Chahar, you saw he made a comeback. Shardul, if the World Cup's in India, how are you really going to play Shardul Thakur? I mean, he doesn't give you enough with the bat or the ball in India, to be honest. Maybe with the ball in seaming conditions, South Africa, England, not in India. I'm sorry, he's not for me in consideration for the Indian World Cup, to be honest. And then Washi, yeah, he's good, but this is again, if we go back, we go and get Bhuvi, we pull Bhuvi again and we play him all of 2023. That will be another disappointment. But we have no idea who our best 5 bowlers are in ODI cricket, right? Do we know? I don't know the answer to that.
But the World Cup's still 8 to 10 months away. We got plenty
Oh
of
yeah,
time.
long time.
No, but you see, you've got Pandya, Jadeja, Bumrah, arguably Arshdeep, and one spinner, right?
And then
so
Chahal or like
Chahal, yeah.
Yeah, so you.
But they never played together. This is the other problem.
Exactly.
Everybody's playing in 1 or 2 series. No one's played together. How are you going to win tournaments? Sorry, what I'm saying.
No, it's exactly that. It's like the FIFA World Cup, right? Like why the first round of matches is so much fun is because this group of guys have not played together. By the time they get the act together and make it to the round of 16, suddenly, you start seeing that whole thing come together. But that's when you start having upsets. That's when you start seeing kind of dysfunctional teams because you just don't play together. So we have got our best 5, right, bowlers, but best 6 because Hardik and Jadeja. But I can't remember the last time all of them played together.
But why aren't Chelly or Bishnoi playing in this series?
Yeah, I mean Bishnoi, great. Like he
Kuldeep Yadav. We could have played
Kuldeep
him.
Yadav, fine. It's questionable. He's not had a great,
right?
He's not had a great international career. But Bishnoi and Chahal, why are they not there? Like what are we missing, man? Like the whole selection committee has got sacked. Who, by the way, maybe we should ask if they can cover.
Apparently, Chetan Sharma has reapplied for the job.
I mean, that's just really amazing. Having a
just
very
amazing.
low,
I don't know if it's true or not.
Self-awareness, right? if you reapply for a job you got fired from,
Just
or you're like you're deet or you're really low self awareness. But anyway,
anyway. Um, yeah, lots to unpack, guys. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. We're going to take a quick break and we will come back and talk about the ODI and then the rest of the world of cricket. But again, seems like we can spend hours talking selection. This is the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. We will be right back. Welcome back. All right, we got a chance to talk a little bit about the team selection. DJ, let me come to you and first start with the game. So the first ball is bowled at midnight my time, and the last ball is done at like 7:15, which means on a Saturday night I basically get to watch none of it, which is just unfortunate. So let's talk a little bit about what happened, right? I look at the scorecard and say 186 all out, nowhere close to good enough. But let's talk a little bit about the breakdown and the fact that we joke about and criticize Rahul, but he made 73 at over a run a ball, the only batsman to bat it over a run a ball, and made almost more than a third of the team's runs alone. But nobody else really stepped up to the plate. Shakib got a 5 for, Ibadat got a 4 for. Like, it's a horrendous batting performance, right?
Yeah, it sounds exactly like the Kings 11 Punjab, right? Like KL scoring more than a third of the runs at just over a run a ball. No, jokes apart, it was a good knock by him, but I mean, nobody else really stood up. It was a 186 is a poor score in ODI. I think we bowled out in 41 overs or something like that. Not playing out the overs is a crime in limited overs cricket. But these guys have played so much T20 cricket, they've probably forgotten what it's like to bat a full 50 overs. That they probably just got tired. Too much batting 40 overs.
I mean that yeah, it's very rare that you see DJ pretty speechless, but Varun, that says a lot about the kind of knock. Let's talk about the chase then, right? At one point it looked like a breeze. I almost I started following it up as I woke up, and I was like, all right, this is done, right? I think they were, what is it, 130, 120-ish for 4 with more than half the overs. Right, 60 more runs to get, you're fine, right? And then I think in the span of 7-8 runs they lost 5 wickets. So 5 for 8 in the middle, right? With 128 for 5 becoming 136 for 9. Then you think, okay, they still need 50 runs to win, 51 runs to win. And then you got tailenders batting, or you got one tailender batting with a number 8. What happened there? How do you lose? How does India lose that match with 50 runs to defend with 1 wicket? What happened?
I mean, they always should have lost this match. It's just that Bangladesh has a knack of making a game out of it. I think
Otherwise
if
known as
his,
shitting the bed.
yeah, it's like if history is anything to go by, they probably would have got it to 3 runs to win. Like had a 47-run partnership with the ninth wicket and then hit it in the air and got caught. And by the way, I think that's
They
exactly what
tried that.
happened. Exactly. So they did exactly that, but our part-time backup wicketkeeper dropped a catch.
Dropped a
And
dolly. That
like it was too simple. Like I saw the video that you sent me. And yeah, that's it. That's it. You lose the game. So the bowlers did well, but never should have match shouldn't have even gone there. Then when they were in the stage of winning, India just lost it. It's just atrocious, man. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I mean, this is just one of those where I feel bad saying this as an India fan, but the bilateral series means nothing to me. I think if we had somehow won it after making 184, a lot of the problems would have gotten swept under the rug. So I'm actually okay with losing these kinds of matches where, yeah, I mean, Rohit had to confront at the press conference. He did fortunately say, you know what? We didn't bat well enough, right? We've seen in the past he's been able to blame the bowlers. In this case, he said 184 wasn't enough. At the same time, we didn't really bowl well enough either. Like Deepak Chahar, I think was 6 overs for 9 and then gave like 18 or 19 runs in his penultimate over, including a couple of no balls or a no ball and a free hit. Like just atrocious and unacceptable. Right. We got a couple more. I think we have a couple more ODIs to go, and then 2 test matches start as we get close to the holidays when folks start getting time off work. So that'll be nice. I look forward to watching that test cricket, which should be nice to see it come back.
Also crucial for the World Test Championship. Hopes that Indian fans have those test matches.
What are the scenarios there, DJ? We need to win
So
both?
I think we need to win both, and not lose more than one test match to Australia. in the series in Feb March. So I'm hoping they don't prepare pitches like Pakistan have just prepared for England, and they prepared for Australia, which was just horrific.
Yeah, and
700.
Ramiz Raja has like come out and started saying it's so embarrassing because
I
I
don't
don't think.
understand that guy. He's criticizing himself while he's
Yeah,
saying, if you guys don't come to Pakistan for the Asia Cup, we may not play the World Cup.
yeah.
And
In the
and
same day,
he's
in
just
the
going to say,
same day,
fine,
he said
don't
our
play.
pitches are horrible, and by the way, if you all don't come here to play, we'll pull out.
Yeah, but
I
not
mean,
for test matches. Huh? He said we don't know how to make test pitches.
Then
But
why have you
ODI,
invited
we're
them?
okay.
but
ODI and
what
T20, they
happened
can do
with
that.
the England team's illness? Like, what was going on there, by the way? What, like, half the team, including the support staff, fell ill before, but apparently it wasn't food poisoning, it was something
I'm
else, but nobody
pretty
really
sure they
said what.
had achari chicken and
They
like
for sure
rice.
had some
Right?
Ajari.
I mean, Ben Stokes given achari chicken. I don't think he's gonna like control. He's human like all of us, right?
So I do
Yeah.
want to come back and talk about the England-Pakistan test for in a few minutes because it is fun. But I'll wrap up the discussion about India with two players who never seem to be out of the news: Rishabh Pant and Sanju Samson. Let's start with Rishabh Pant. Varun, I didn't get to watch the whole interview, but what are like the quote that kind of made it famous was where it seems like he was being nonchalant about his record, saying, "Hey, don't question my record. I'm still young. Ask me about it when I'm 30, 32 years old." Is that true? Was that taken out of context? Is that the way that players should be thinking? Are we too harsh on him, given that to DJ's point, he just won us an ODI a couple of matches ago? Or what's going on in the world of Rishabh Pant?
So it's a very mixed situation, right? Because the way that interview was conducted, the facts are that Rishabh Pant is not doing well in white ball cricket, according to me. Okay, you all might have a different view, but he's not doing well. A one-off great knock is fantastic. We all are fans of him, and we know what he can do, but he has not done well enough. Okay, then Harsha Bhogle, knowing that he's not done well enough, kind of provoked him with this question, right? About I compare you with Sehwag and stuff, and you came in, and you're a white ball batsman, but you become a red ball batsman. And just Rishabh Pant's reply, you could just sense the frustration. Otherwise, a guy who goes around saying "bhaiya, bhaiya, bhaiya" to everyone has basically lashed out at Harsha Bhogle to the point where Bhogle had to stop asking him questions about his batting and switch to asking questions about his wicket keeping, right? To which he said, "So do you focus on wicket keeping?" And Pant is like, almost like, "Yes, I focus on wicket keeping. Like, let's end this interview because you don't have anything else to ask me." Now, comparisons are always going to be made, stats are always going to be looked at. I kind of agree with Pant that at 25, just leave him alone. He's not having a good time. Nobody will continue to play him if he's not doing well. But yes, you want to start talking about Warner and Sehwag type of comparisons. You gotta wait a little while. He's behind the game right now. I think he's doing very well in tests, but he's just behind the curve right now. That's it. And I think it showed in that interview that he was very frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, very well summarized. I think there's an interesting comment that came in. DJ, I'm going to ask you about this. Came from Amrik, but it said if players are going to play for 10 to 15 years, like the old times, there'll be a whole generation who won't get a chance. And I think this came in when we were talking about Rohit, Shikhar, and Kohli. But I want to ask you the same question in the context of Sanju Samson, right? We've talked so much on this show, and it happened with Rahane in South Africa, and it's happened over and over. But the market value of a player in the Indian setup seems to skyrocket when they are not playing. And is that sort of what's happening with Sanju Samson? Is there a frustration from fans who are just saying, why are you taking him? Why is he not taking him on the tours? Then when you do, why does he not play? Should Sanju Samson walk into white ball cricket for Team India or at least T20 white ball cricket for Team India?
T20, probably. I'd say yes. Because Pant hasn't done well in T20 cricket, right? And I'll acknowledge that because he hasn't done well in T20 cricket. And we've played a lot of T20 cricket in the last year because we've had 2 World Cups. So that's been the focus, and T20 cricket hasn't been great. But again, this comes back to how much cricket we all watch and they play. Sanju did well against Ireland. He scored 100 there. How many of us actually watched that? Because there was another series ongoing, I think, at the same time. I think the tests were going to happen in England at that time. There was an ODI series happening just as these guys went to Huda and Samsung, and these guys were smashing runs in Ireland. So your attention is always diverted. So it depends on which bit you're watching, right? And I mean, just to address what Varun was saying, Pant, he hasn't had a great time in T20 cricket, which is recent in our memory, and we have recency bias against that. But I'm reading his last 10 ODI innings: 77, 78, 16, 85, 0, 11, 18, 56, 0, 125, 15. Those are not bad stats. He's got six 650s in the last 11 innings that he's played, including 100 and 185. So he's been okay, I think. Um, yeah, I mean, Samsung, the problem is, again, it's we, the Indian cricket fans need something to be outraged about. For the longest time, it was Virat Kohli's captaincy. Then it became Virat Kohli's form. Then it became Rohit Sharma's captaincy. Then when Bumrah bowled a no ball in 2017, it became his bowling. In the ODI, in the Test match when we couldn't win, Bumrah was a villain. We need a villain at all points in our time. Right now, the current villains are Rohit, who's unfit, Pant, who's unfit, and Shikhar Dhawan, who bats slowly. Tomorrow there'll be some new villain, because there's a news cycle that must constantly be kept fed in the Indian media. That news cycle must be fed. So now Kohli scoring runs. Right?
Fed is pun intended or not?
none intended, but quite funny.
Just making sure.
But now that Kohli scoring runs, the pressure is off him. I mean, I was watching the Messi documentary, right, the other day. Media pressure has affected somebody like him. Fan pressure has affected somebody like Messi. What is a Rishabh Pant compared to this guy, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to get on this guy's head. You're going to get into his head, and he's now gone on a break for whatever fitness reasons. It seems unexplained, right? Like nobody quite knows why he's gone on a break. He does need a break. I do maintain that he needs to come back. The way he plays, he needs to be fresh. So
yeah, I mean, it's interesting. There's a lot of discussion, a lot of chat in the comments, and thank you all for those of you watching on YouTube who are sending them in. But some good discussion from Karthik talking about we tend to confuse formats, and that's true, and tend to use lack of form in one format to drop the player from a format where he's performed well enough in recent games, which is fair. I think there is something to be said for form transferring over, but I'm a big advocate of this point, which is, hey, focus on the version of the game that you're doing well at and deliver results there. So fully agree with that one. Varun, I particularly liked this one that came in as you were talking about the interview where Rahul says, I gave the same reply as Pant during my appraisal to my manager, and now I'm looking for a new job. So
that's great. I would like basically you said, sir, comparison तो हम अपने life का party नहीं है. Comparison करना है तो 8 साल बाद.
8 साल बाद करते हैं.
I think that's a great line to give to your manager, right?
That's perfect. On that wonderful note, as we wind down to the final few minutes of this show, I want to talk about the 2 tests that are happening in the other parts of the world. First off, Varun, let me ask you this really quickly. Australia has pulverized the West Indies, but it was absolutely fascinating to watch the scorecard. If you looked at Australia batting first, makes 2 double centuries. Labuschagne makes a double century. Steve Smith gets to his double. They're waiting for Travis Head to try to get to a century, and then on 99 he gets out, and they declared. Decent little attempt from the West Indies, made 283. Had to come back. Australia made 182 then with another Labuschagne century. So I think he's just had a baby and has come back and made a double and a century. You just had a baby too, right? How's your cricket been going recently?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played any tennis ball cricket recently, but
he's waiting for you to come and bowl to him, no? 227 not out.
That's it. That's the goal. And then in the end, a nice little cameo again from Craig Brathwaite, who seems to be the only West Indian batsman who's really stepping up. So 2 things I wanted to talk. 1, Craig Brathwaite, great century. 2, his co-opener, Varun, the young guy who's now opening with Craig Brathwaite, gives us a little bit of a sense of how old we're getting, right? You want to tell us a little bit more about the new West Indies opener?
Yeah, he's Shivraj Chanderpaul's son. Like, that's how old we are. Like, we watched his father at his prime, and now his son is playing, and it's great, man. I can't think of like too many father-son combinations that we have seen in our time, right? Like,
I think Antony's son is playing for under-19 South Africa now, so he was in the World Cup.
So that'll be fun to look out for. But like, I can't remember too many great father-son duos who we would have watched like from the 90s to
Sachin and Arjun, dude.
Yeah,
yeah,
Arjun
we
is
haven't
definitely a
watched
The
great.
cricket.
Mumbai Indian star.
I do think it's interesting just to point out. I had to look this up to be like, does the math all add up and make sense? And Shiv is only 48, and his son Rajnarayan is 26. So he had his child at 22, which is young, which helps make the math check out as to how we were able to watch both of them in
Yeah,
our life.
but good to see
Only
him.
Ashwin would have gone and checked the maths on this.
I mean, I was just making sure everything was above board. I think I'll close this one with a fascinating stat. Rahul has said the last time a West Indies opener hit 100 other than Craig Brathwaite was 2013, and I think he's hit the last 11, if I remember reading that correctly, which is just staggering, right? Imagine the rift, the level difference in level between him and
That's
his
that's
peers.
what that guy meant. Remember the name. This was the right Brathwaite, though. Correct.
Oh yeah, different Brathwaite.
Craig Brathwaite.
All right, and then let's quickly talk about what is happening in a different part of the world, where Varun has talked a little bit about Ramesh Raja and his feedback on the pitches and stuff. But it's the end of day 4 at the time of us recording this in the England-Pakistan Test match, and it is precariously poised. DJ, let's talk a little bit about your current home country and how they play baseball and Test cricket. What is happening? Here's how I saw it. 74 overs got bowled in the first day, not even 90, and they made over 500 runs, which is all sorts of record shattering. 4 guys made centuries. And then the next day, Pakistan came out and made 180 for 0, and suddenly the conversation shifted from being, oh man, these pitches are horrendous, we can't bat up. Like, we've seen this story play out before, right? When England bats well in Pakistan, all about baseball and the style. And when Pakistan batted well in return, it was all about the pitch. Is that kind of what happened?
Yeah, 100%. Like, this was a pitch. At that point, I had 102 fever. I wanted to get out and go and bat on that pitch. I was like, this is a great pitch. I think I could have got a double hundred on that track. I'm disappointed the highest score was only 156 by who got it? Harry Brook of 116 balls. I may have taken a bit more time, but I think. But yeah, it was insane. I mean, it's not fun watching that kind of cricket either. It's dull. You saw. I mean, the entertainment of the day was Joe Root shining the ball on Jack Leach's head.
Like, that's it, right? That shows
That
you
was
how great it is.
literally the greatest part of the day.
And what was also fascinating is that I think these 2 test matches started within 24 hours of each other, right? So day 1 was, let's say, over a 24-hour period from ball 1 to ball, whatever, 100, end of over 180. You had like 6 centuries and a 99, right? Like,
that's crazy.
Within those 24 hours. So I'm just switching between these games and the apps and like just century.
But did you get to watch any of the England-Pakistan game on TV? It's so weird.
I didn't actually.
So it's so weird. They randomly just cut away for ads. There's a Sensodyne sensitivity moment, which is my favorite. They basically line up 4 people in the crowd. One is given a hot cup of chai, one is given an ice cream, one is given a cold drink, and one is given something else. And they are just they don't have any lines. They're just sitting there eating and drinking this, and the commentators are talking about the Sensodyne sensitivity moment. It's just
that's
it's
how much
next level advertising. So
but that's how exciting the cricket was.
That's how long Test cricket hasn't been there in Pakistan, right? Like, advertisers don't know what to do.
Still from the 90s.
Anyway, so England makes 657, Pakistan responds with 579, and then Varun, last thing I want to ask you: England has declared with at 264.
Sorry, Rahul Malhotra said Tapal Danedar TV as well. That's the other. So they randomly cut away for these tea breaks in the middle of the telecast as well.
Outstanding, just absolutely outstanding. Varun, let's quickly talk about this declaration strategy before DJ starts promoting more brands that haven't paid us to advertise on this show. 343 runs needed with I think it was about, call it 120-ish overs, right? 1 full day plus 20 overs, knowing that we may not get a full day's play on the last day. This part of the continued aggressive English style of cricket, Pakistan's at 80 for 2. So day 5 could go anyway, right? They could make 263, they could lose 8 wickets, so they could end up blocking out for a draw. All 4 results possible, as the commentators cliche say.
Yeah, it is. It's sad that Azhar Ali got retired hurt within like 2 balls, because that is just going to be a disadvantage tomorrow, right? They say effectively they are three down, and so it's yeah. I feel like it would be a lot of fun if Pakistan managed to chase this down. I don't know how the pitch is playing out now on day four because yeah, honestly, I don't know if I can't tell from the Pakistan bowler names. That's how bad I am right now. Who's the spinner
I
and who's the
mean,
pacer?
what are those bowlers? This is the team that's supposed to have some amazing bowlers. I saw
Yeah,
some
what is
serious medium pace being bowled in that place.
like what is happening? But I
But
don't
if
know. This
Friendly
is
medium.
if they chase it, will it be called Rasball after Ramiz?
yeah, it should. If that's it, like
That would be
that's where we have to. We've hit our peak,
that's
guys,
it.
for this episode.
All right, guys. I realize we spent all of our
Yes.
time. We haven't even talked the India New Zealand series. That's how boring it was, with most of them being rain affected. One one tactical draw that India managed thanks to Duckworth Lewis. But we'll maybe cover those at the
Yeah.
next time. I think
Yeah.
Rasball is as good a note as we can end this show on. Thank you all for joining. Varun, DJ, this has been fun. Varun, I know it's time for bed for you. DJ, I hope you feel better. You've been a little under the weather. And this has been the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. If you're not watching us live, or you can always catch us on YouTube, like and subscribe, or at One Tip One Hand on all the social medias. We're back to streaming. Now we figured out technology. We're back to live broadcasting this on Facebook. So if anybody still uses that platform, please make sure you watch us on there. And we'll be back next week. This has been the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast.